From Daily Trust News Center, this is News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, court sentences killer of job seeker to death. Academic Staff Union of University draw the battle line over university reopening. NDLEA destroys 120 tons of seized drugs in Lagos. And on the foreign scene, Mexican journalists killed in bar shooting, 13th this year. Hello and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I'm Darshan Husseina Usman. Now the news in detail. Justice Basing Kanang of the Akwa Ibom State High Court on Thursday sentenced Uduak Akpan to death by hanging for murder of Inuobong Umoren. Umoren, a graduate of philosophy, University of Uyo, was killed on April 2021. She was job hunting while awaiting mobilization for the compulsory National Youth Service Corps scheme. Uduak's father, Frank Akpan, and his sister, Anwan Basi, second and third accused, have been discharged and acquitted. Earlier, head of Judiciary Desk Daily Trust, John Chuk, speaks to us on justice delivery in Nigeria's legal system.
It's quite fast because what we know in this country is that cases that ought to be so expeditiously dispensed with take 5-10 years. Similar criminal cases are pending in court, and as a result, so many people are on remand in various correctional centers across the country. But in this instance that we've cited, the two cases, the period it took to conclude the investigation, like Hanifa's disappearance, unfortunately, was in December 2021. Between the time the alarm was raised and the time the police took over and investigated, arrested the suspects and charged within 2 months, December to February. And then the matter was transferred from Magistrate Court to the Federal High Court in Kano, which has proper jurisdiction over the matter. Between that February and this July 28th, it was concluded. That's 5 months. So it's quite novel because matters take a very long time to conclude in Nigeria. And in the case of Inuobong in Akwa Ibom, just 1 year between July and now. It took place today, August. Today is 4th of August. So just 1 year and some few days. So what it shows is that the government, when they pay attention, when they are made to sit up to the responsibility of safeguarding the lives and property of the citizens, and if they are made to allow the judiciary to function independently, in fact, to activate the powers of the judiciary to inculcate that confidence of the people, of the public, then this kind of results can be found. And this also not discounting the role of the media, because without the media putting pressure, highlighting these cases, perhaps the actions that were taken, both by the prosecuting agencies and the adjudicating agencies, which are all part of the judicial system, may not have been seen.
The remains of 3 persons killed in Katsina State on Wednesday evening by suspected terrorists have been laid to rest. The deceased were attacked and killed at Dantsoni village of Batagarawa local government area of Katsina State. Abdullahi Ahmadi has an update on the attack and now reports.
All the 3 victims of Wednesday's attack in Katsina, Abdurrashid Abamana, Najib Tambaba, and Isiaku Isa Dantsoni have been laid to rest. May his soul rest in peace. But Abdurrashid is my younger brother. He was from Kewa Primary School, where he was a classroom teacher. He was shot dead by suspected bandits because he resisted attempt to be abducted by the terrorists. A huge number of mourners have been trooping to the residences of the deceased to commiserate with them. This is the 3rd time my elder brother was attacked. Last year he was attacked twice at Dantsoni village. They now attempted to abduct him, but he refused to cooperate. That is why they killed him. Sadly, a large number of people, including women and children who were abducted by the terrorists during the attack, remain in captivity. The terrorists have already started contacting families of the abductees, demanding for ransom. People here are worried that the terrorists were bold enough to launch an attack in a broad daylight. Even worse is that their locations were considered so close to the ancient city of Katsina, and yet the terrorists were not repelled by security operatives. We are seriously worried by the spread of insecurity. Look at it. The terrorists are advancing towards the city of Katsina. From this point, it's just a kilometer to Katsina city, but yet terrorists attacked this place in a broad daylight. Hundreds of people have fled Babaruga, Dansauni, and other neighboring villages to Katsina for the fear of another attack. Observers say it looks like security operatives are overwhelmed by incessant terrorist attacks in Katsina. Only recently, a police officer attached to Safana Division was abducted in Duzima, while another police officer just regained his freedom after paying 1 million naira as ransom. Also Wednesday night, the terrorists riding on over 30 motorcycles attacked Natsinta village and abducted over 12 people. Natsinta village is not more than 500 meters away from 35 Battalion of the Nigerian Army Natsinta Barracks, Katsina. Many people are losing hope in government's capacity to protect them from the terrorist attacks. Several calls and text messages put through to Public Relations Officer Katsina State Command SP Gambo Isa were not responded to. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
The Coalition of Whistleblowers Protection and Press Freedom has condemned the imposition of fines on Trust TV, MultiChoice Nigeria, Telkom Satellite Limited and NTA Star Times by the National Broadcasting Commission for broadcasting documentaries on banditry. A statement from the Secretariat of CWPPF says it regards the fine slammed on broadcast services as a baseless and authoritarian move designed to stifle the press. It stated that this continuous impunity emboldens the perpetrators of the crimes, has an undesirable discouraging effect, and obstructs journalists and their work. While condemning the sanctions, the group calls on the National Broadcasting Commission to withdraw it without delay. It maintains that CWPPF shall continue to oppose all forms of attacks on human rights and press freedom in Nigeria and across the world, and hold the government, individuals and organizations accountable. Similarly, journalists and media organizations are facing a huge challenge, putting their impartiality, objectivity and safety to the test. A journalist and political analyst believes, however, that the Nigerian media can serve as catalyst for democratic accountability, credible elections, good governance, and that resource is being suppressed. He also believes that the media is also the key institution responsible for upholding ethical conduct and coverage of the 2023 general elections. The report. As watchdogs, the media plays an indispensable role in the proper functioning of a democracy and maintaining electoral integrity. The right to provide information without being pressured or threatened brings with it the duty to provide voters with objective, instructive and constructive information. Chairman, National Union of Journalists FCT Chapter, Emmanuel Ogbeche, speaks on how journalists can meander through the minefields of partisanship as the elections approaches.
So we encourage every journalist to be conversant with just 15 items, on the issue of balance, objectivity, fairness, and that the common good, that the end game of journalism isn't for division, is to promote national unity, national security. You have to protect minors. And at a time such as this, when the country is almost divided along sectarian lines, along religious lines. The place of the journalist is to be a bridge builder. And you can't be successful if you are partisan. If you look at issues from the prism of ethnicity, of tribe, of region, so what do? You should stay on the news, you should be focused, you should be objective, and be professional at all times.
Ogbeche further speaks on how media houses can push back while maintaining electoral independence and the effects of social media in defining news delivery.
Social media has impacted very much on how mainstream media, operates. And the issue is, it could be for good, it could be for bad, depending on the media outlet. But generally, social media provides sometimes like a folder or like a forerunner to interrogating issues. Given the immediacy, given the untrained nature of what we call citizen journalists, but I prefer not to refer to them as such, eyewitnesses, basically is what I call them, citizens eyewitnesses. They can provide a lead for you to follow, for you to interrogate issues properly and put them in context. We encourage readers and Nigerians to wholly own the media, subscribe. News isn't supposed to be free. There are certain elements of news that ordinarily are free. But if you do not subscribe, if you put the media in the position where it has to go cap in hand, begging government for adverts, for commercial inputs, then the tendency is that government will have a role or a say in how the media, editorializes its content and all of that. So the major challenge is that media houses also need to be creative.
He further stressed that the truth should not be determined by hierarchy of political or social status, but through media verification. Darshan. In politics, the All Progressives Congress on Thursday unveiled Governor Simon Lalong of Plateau State and chairman of the Northern Governors Forum as the Director General of the party's presidential campaign organization. APC National Chairman Senator Abdullahi Adamu announced this while speaking with journalists at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The national chairman led the presidential candidate Bola Tinubu and vice presidential candidate Kashim Shettima to a meeting with the president in his office. Adamu equally unveiled former Minister of State for Labor and Productivity Festus Keyamo as the interim spokesperson of the campaign organization, while the deputy spokesperson is Hannatu Musa. According to him, the meeting was to brief the president and get his approval on the plans of the party regarding the campaign outfits and organogram. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State met in Abuja on Thursday at the house of Professor Jerry Gana. The politicians agreed to set aside their differences and work together. They also agreed to set up a committee to look into areas where the camps of Wike and Atiku can work together. The committee will then report to the panel that the BOT set up to resolve the crisis. Wike had avoided commenting about Atiku publicly until the presidential candidate granted an interview where he spoke about him in an Arise TV interview. Atiku had defeated Wike in the primary, but the Rivers governor indicated interest in being the presidential running mate, but the former vice president settled for Governor Ifeanyi Okowa of Delta State. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has appointed Daniel Bola and Senator Dino Melaye as his campaign spokespersons. While Melaye was defeated in the last PDP senatorial primary election for the Kogi West Senatorial District, Bola, who dumped the ruling All Progressives Congress for the PDP a few weeks ago, was a legal aid to the Deputy Senate President, Ovie Omo Agege. A statement released on Thursday by the media advisor to Atiku, Paul Ibe, said that the two appointments will take effect immediately. Moving on to crime, the Kwara State Police Command says it made a breakthrough in the arrest of one notorious cultist on the wanted list of the anti-cultism team at a supermarket when it accosted the cultist named Monday Ojagbu. A statement by the command's public relations officer said the wanted cult suspect and other members of his gang were said to be on a mission to carry out another gruesome attack on a yet-to-be-identified target. While others escaped, the police spokesman said the leader was apprehended by the police at the supermarket where they were traced at about 6 p.m. on Tuesday. He said while efforts are in progress to arrest the fleeing accomplices, the Commissioner of Police in the state Tuesday, Asayomo, has assured of the command's commitment to rid the North Central state of criminal activities. Former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu will remain in prison till October 31st as his organ harvesting case has been adjourned again. Ekweremadu appeared in court on Thursday anticipating ruling on his bail application, but the judge adjourned the case till the end of October for a hearing. It can be recalled that the Nigerian senator first appeared before the Uxbridge Magistrates Court in London, where the lawmaker denied all the charges against him. Ekweremadu and his wife were initially denied bail and remanded in custody while the case was adjourned to July 7 and later August 4th. However, on July 2nd, his wife Beatrice was granted bail under strict conditions. Adamu Bulkachua, Senate Committee Chairman on Foreign Affairs, was in court to show support for Ekweremadu. The court allowed only 20 people to witness proceedings and no recording devices were allowed in the courtroom. In education, the Kaduna State University chapter of the Academic Staff Union of Universities has rejected the resumption of the academic activities in the institution. The union says no examination is taking place, contrary to management's earlier announcement that students have already resumed writing examinations. The report.
Academic activities at the Kaduna State University has paralyzed for months due to the lingering ASUU strike. Earlier this week, the management of Kaduna State University announced the resumption of academic activities in the school for the students to write their exams.
You can go around and see if it were ghosts that are invigilating the exams. The academic staff, you can interview them. The truth of the matter is that we have gotten about 80% support. If you had come here yesterday, you will have seen letters of lecturers who have resigned from the union. They said they are no longer members of the union. They are tired of the inconsistent behavior of the union because the local issues that they're supposed to table before government, they have not done that.
During a media chat, the visitor of the university and Kaduna State Governor Nasiru El-Rufai threatened to sack ASUU members if they refuse to resume academic activities. Dr. Peter Adamu is the ASUU chairman at Kaduna State University, and he says the strike is still ongoing as none of their members supervised the examination the school management said is ongoing, adding that they are not afraid of the sack threats.
This thing is actually negotiated for everybody, because at the moment, I can tell you that this strike that we are in right now is for the benefit of this same university. Because after this strike, I'm sure this university will get a lot of money and projects will be placed everywhere in this university. So while if someone say that it's a large strike, when they are also direct beneficiaries. Actually, we are not bothered because we know we are in a democratic setting where we are being governed under rules and regulations. There are procedures. So we're not worried because we know even if that will happen, there must be some procedures that must be followed.
Few students are back in the school. However, no academic activity is taking place. Some of the students expressed dismay over the lingering situation in the university.
When we got the information that we should resume back school and just come and write exams, we were not really happy about it, because especially students in 400 level, you've not finished most of your syllabus and then they will just call you a graduate. So the whole thing is not making sense, whereby you just graduate halfway.
Actually, us the students of Kaduna State University, we feel very bad about the resumption because the management told us to resume school and we resume school and there's nothing going on. Actually, they fixed exam for us and we are not writing it.
Will the members of ASU resume to avoid the sack by the Visitor of University and Governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai? Time will provide the answer.
You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, why teenagers kill themselves. Do stay with us.
To every politician, as the campaigns gain momentum and passions begin to rise, remember, the errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent and inflame passions to violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve the sufferings and bring succor. Nigeria is in dire need of patriotic leaders at all levels, leaders who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't engage in verbal abuses, fake news or speeches. Keep dealing with issues that will bring progress. You win the hearts and minds of the people by being above board, by being civil, patriotic, and showing empathy. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. A message from the National Orientation Agency.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Let's take a look at some of our top stories. We told you that court sentences killer of job seeker to death. You also heard that Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, draw the battle line over university reopening. Moving to more news, one of the freed victims of the Kaduna-Abuja train attack said dialogue between abductors of the train passengers and the federal government will go a long way in securing the release of the remaining victims still in captivity. The released victim made this known during an interview with Trust TV in Kaduna while narrating his ordeal in the hands of the kidnappers.
You know, not knowing exactly what will happen every moment is our fear, because we are afraid anything can happen anytime by anybody. So that is our fear. So I am calling on the government, I'm pleading to come to the aid of our brothers that are over there so that they can gain their freedom. Dialogue, in my religion, Islam, dialogue is still the best option to get our brothers back home. I'm pleading to the government, despite the fact they've taken a position, they should please listen to our yearning. We left our brothers there. I'm back home, but I'm not sleeping.
Chairman of the All Progressives Congress in Osun State, Boyega Famodun, on Thursday confirmed that the party will go to Election Petitions Tribunal to challenge the result of the July 16 gubernatorial election in the state. The Independent National Electoral Commission had declared the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Ademola Adeleke, winner, having scored 403,371 votes to defeat APC candidate Governor Adeboyega Oyetola, who pulled in 375,027 votes. At a press conference in Oshogbo, Famodun said the legal team of Governor Adegboyega Oyetola has assured that the APC has a good case. He alleged that the Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesola and his supporters under the auspices of the Osun Progressives scuttled the chance of APC in the election by working for the PDP candidate against Oyetola. Famodun expressed hope that Oyetola would obtain Adeleke's victory at the court.
That they should remain focused, strong behind the party as they have demonstrated today. And I want to assure them that the party, notwithstanding any challenges, will rise above it. And whosoever believes in joining the opposition to bring this party down, he himself will rather bring himself down, not to the party. APC in Osun, I repeat, still very strong for an individual to break.
That we have good cases and the tribunal, either in the unit, in the ward, and at the local government level. They threw caution into the wind and they believed that what they are doing is quite right. So we are so magnanimous as to, like I said, political party has between exit and entry.
Proceedings were again stalled at the Federal High Court, Lafia, Nasarawa State, in the case between Labaran Magaji and Ahmed Tukur, following the outcome of the All Progressives Congress Nasarawa West Senatorial District primaries. Counsel to the plaintiff, Gali Umar, who alleged forgery, requested the court to subpoena an INEC official to clarify discrepancies in the documents the parties brought before the court. Abdullahi Abubakar sent in the report as presented in our studio.
In the suit, Labaran Magaji had dragged the All Progressives Congress and Ahmed Tukur to the Federal High Court in Lafia, praying the court to declare him winner of the primary election. He hinged his call on alleged doctrine of delegates list among other irregularities. Counsel to the plaintiff, Gali Umar, alleged discovering of forged INEC stamp and signature that were used as basis to seek for an adjournment to enable them prepare better. Counsel to the All Progressives Congress, Ibrahim Bawa, on his part, also said the case was adjourned to allow the plaintiff to issue an application to allow an INEC official to make some clarifications.
For that purpose, apply for an adjournment that the certifying officer, Omale Samuel, should be suffered to court so that to clarify the discrepancy, because there will be no two processes at the same time with different signatures.
Is that INEC should be subpoenaed. According to him, a staff of INEC should be subpoenaed to come and make some explanation. We can't say what the explanation will be until the person comes to say what he wants to say.
After listening to both parties, Justice Nahizina Afolabi granted the application of the plaintiff to allow them present the witness from INEC to court in the next adjourned date to clarify the controversies raised by the plaintiff and adjourn the matter to 31st August. In an interview, the plaintiff, Labaran Magaji, who was in court, reinstated his trust in the judiciary as the last hope of the common man, adding that he is in politics to sanitize the system.
Because we need to sanitize the system, and that is the essence of us being in politics, to make sure we wipe out those with criminal tendencies in our political system, so that Nigeria will be better for it.
Apart from the Nasarawa West Senatorial District primary, the Federal High Court Lafia is entertaining over 10 political cases filed before it, arising from the last primary elections conducted by APC in the state.
A 17-year-old student of Offa Grammar School in Offa local government area of Kwara State, Adegoke Adeyemi, has allegedly committed suicide following his failure to gain promotion to the next class in his school. Police sources say the student, who was found hanging on a tree, resorted to taking his life after failing to pass his promotion examination from SS1 to SS2. Police Public Relations Officer of Kwara Command, Okasanmi Ajayi, in a statement in Ilorin on Wednesday, said the senior secondary school student was asked to repeat the class but felt shame and took his life. Residents of Gishiri community, a suburb located around the Katampe district within the Federal Capital Territory, have decried the non-availability of some social amenities and deteriorating state of existing ones. Trust TV's Aisha Salihu, who visited the community, which is home to people from over 30 ethnic groups in the country, reports that the residents are asking the government to provide basic healthcare facilities, accessible roads, schools and security to enhance their living conditions. The report.
Tucked within the Abuja Municipal Area Council is Gishiri community. Despite its proximity to the city center, the community lacks accessible roads and other necessities of life. Members of the community have taken it upon themselves to provide some of these necessities due to continuous government neglect.
3 years, we will go and mark. When we write a writer, go and mark. So we try do our road to now, and not do it. So school here, and not do. So we write them through a mark. Now, and not do it. So now children is go meet my here. No Sunday school here, but pro school day.
We don't have junior secondary school and senior secondary school. We will be trekking to school and the road is not good.
Our road here, just where you were coming, you see how the road is very bad.
Although the community has constructed a primary healthcare facility, residents worry that the lives of people, especially women and children, who patronize it are not safe because it's below standard. Beyond the obvious deficiencies in the health facility, Gishiri community also battles environmental pollution, especially during the rainy season.
Sometimes people will sick. There's no standard hospital. There will be rush emergency to like Maitama, go to Use. Sometimes they will not see the doctor to attend to them.
The primary health care, though we have one, but the one we are having there is just like a room that they are managing.
The primary health care we have is too small for the community. Like the primary health care, if 5 people are sick, there's no anyhow 5 people can be there because it's very small.
They are also not spared of the menace of insecurity, as the unholy activities of miscreants now constitute a threat to residents.
These are scavengers. They call them Babambola. Something around 6 something in the morning like this, one person don't take what you want to take. Your house direct, they'll come and knock your house. If you leave something outside, they will carry it and go. And they always tear people's house to enter, carry what they want. Sometimes they come with knife. If they overpower, you have nothing to do.
Before you know, they will enter our houses, even though you have pots that you cook. You wake up the next morning, they have already packed everything.
Calls continue to inundate the Federal Capital Territory Administration through the Abuja Municipal Area Council office to take into cognizance the lack of basic amenities that are necessities for human existence.
We want government to help us for the security.
Sensitization so that people will come and sensitize people on how to keep their environment clean.
Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Over 560,000 kilograms of assorted illicit drugs were on Thursday set ablaze by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the largest to be destroyed in the 32-year history of the anti-narcotic agency. Leading top officials of NDLEA, other security agencies and members of the public in the burning of heaps of the illicit drugs. Chairman, Chief Executive of the agency, Brigadier General Muhammad Buba Marwa, retired, said the exercise is a strong message to drug barons and cartels that they will continue to lose their huge investments in the criminal trade if they fail to back out and look for other legitimate businesses. The report.
The over 5,600 illicit drug burnt at a brief ceremony in Badagry area of Lagos include cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, and ephedrine. Others are cannabis sativa, cat, tramadol, benylin with codeine, which were seized by the Murtala Muhammad International Airport Command, Lagos State, and the Semi-Special Area Command. Speaking at the ceremony, General Muhammad Buba Marwa said efforts by men of the agency not only resulted in the seizure of the aforementioned drugs, but also culminated in the arrest, prosecution, and conviction of the offenders in court. Marwa explained that since January 2021, the agency has arrested over 17,647 drug offenders, of which 2,385 have been convicted in court.
Since January last year, we have arrested over 17,000 drug offenders, of which 2,369 have been convicted. In the process, we have seized over 3.5 million kilograms of assorted drugs.
The NDLEA boss, who assured that the agency will not only focus on drug supply reduction, also noted that they are reaching out to young people through prevention messages on social media platforms. He added that they are working with other institutions to provide educational opportunities, vocational skills training, and other socio-economic support for this vulnerable group. While commending the officers and men of the agency for their commitment that has made it possible for the current success, General Marwa praised President Muhammadu Buhari for his political will in tackling the drug menace.
To address the drug problem in the country, and there is no better time than now to adopt evidence-based programs and policies to counter the destructive impact of the drug scourge which has pervaded our society the past few years.
The NDLEA boss had earlier led his top officials on a courtesy visit to the Akran of Badagry, Oba Claudius Dosa Akran, whom he employed to set up drug control committee in his kingdom as part of efforts to support the war against drug abuse in the country.
We'll be back after this break.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Daily, we bring you updates around politics.
People like you who are very young, you have no future. Anybody now who is 30 years, if what is happening to them continues, by the time you are 60, you will have no country.
The DPO of a particular unit does not have to wait until the commissioner tells him what to do within his jurisdiction.
We have political parties on the ground. Some of them have been there for years. But they themselves, in their own sober moments, they know that this country is not the one they're expecting to run.
Policy and governance.
Are you saying the NBS is lying?
I'm saying to you very clearly that the NBS has a serious problem with accurate data till today.
The 5th Assembly, as well as the 7th Assembly, their own attempt were unproductive.
Emergence of the Taliban has simply emboldened terror groups globally.
There is a lot of attention with regards to security developments in Nigeria.
On Daily Politics, we interrogate issues, holding the actors to account, bearing in mind all the sides.
We heard that in some places now, people have to go and pay tax, not to the local government, not to the state, but to criminals.
Nobody can come to your house and kidnap you without information.
If this country is bleeding, it is bleeding because we have failed to educate our young.
Welcome back. Moving on to business, the Zone 4 Association of Bureau de Change Operators of Nigeria has expressed dissatisfaction with Central Bank of Nigerian policy of restricting the supply of dollars to Bureau de Change operators. The Financial Secretary of the association, Yusuf Sadiq, explained that the action by CBN is one of the reasons that the exchange rate of the naira to the dollar is on a steady fall. Sadiq commended the AFCC's decision to rate the market, noting that even before the AFCC intervention, the leadership of the association has been trying to curtail the rate at which naira falls to the dollar.
Change dollar. That is when CBN will give the CBN dollar in official rate. Then the market will control himself, will not try to go against CBN's rule. But CBN now stopped giving the BDC dollar. Now it is the BDC now will now source their dollar to sell to their customers. The customer will bring their dollar from where they get from and bring it to the BDC operators to sell. CBN now cannot control BDC operators. How much are you selling dollar? How much are you buying dollar? Before coming of EFCC, we the market officials, we have started the operation before the coming of EFCC. And the coming of EFCC is very, very much, we like their coming. Because it is we that will control the market. If the market is going high, what makes it to go high? Which demand is in the market that is dollar is going high? Within 1 hour, dollar will rise more than 10 naira. That is why we the officials know this is not good to our economy. For me, if CBN wants all this thing to finish, bring back bidding. Let the dollar be available. If there's dollar available, honestly speaking, you come here, dollar will even go down beyond 500. You can even get dollar 300. It depends on this CBN official rate.
The federal government on Thursday said the board of directors of the African Development Bank has approved $134 million to scale up food production in Nigeria. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mohammed Mahmoud, said this at the 45th session of the ministerial briefing organized by the Presidential Communications Team at the State House in Abuja. He said the loan facility will be used to fund part of the implementation of the national strategy for wheat self-sufficiency. Meanwhile, Nigeria has secured a $1.5 billion loan from the U.S. Exim Bank to deliver solar power infrastructure in 10 different locations in the country. Chief Executive Officer Sun Africa LLC USA, Adam Cortez, announced this Thursday after a meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari at the presidential villa. He said the loan is a government-to-government facility on a concessional rate of over 20 years. Let's now join Chamunda Beng for more in business.
A 4-year strategic positive direction to fight the increase of unemployment and poverty among youth in Nigeria has been revealed by the Industrial Training Fund ITF. Director General of ITF, Joseph Ari, who disclosed this in Jos, Plateau State, said he was happy that the prior plans had impacted positively on the Nigerian economy and noted that the new plan was aimed at addressing the current challenges. He noted that the strategic policy direction is the third of these plans by the incumbent administration in the ITF to produce talented entrepreneurs who are now employers of labor. He explained that the strategy took into account the need to scale up efforts to address the skyrocketing unemployment rate and other socio-economic challenges by relying on expertise, expensive networks, the deployment of technology for wider coverage, and more flexible service delivery. To support small companies and other sector growth, the International Finance Corporation (IFC) has pledged more than $2 billion to more than 100 funds across Africa. IFC's private equity fund's goal, according to a statement from the bank, is to give growth capital to funds with the best chances of becoming financially and strategically successful. IFC's assistance consists of a capital investment of up to $10 million in equity, as well as an extra $10 million through the private sector window of the International Development Association's blended finance facility, which lowers the risk of investment in low-income nations. According to the bank, the fund will give small and medium-sized enterprises (SMEs) in the area, notably those run by women, expansion financing. Only 6% of the total capital raised in Africa from 2017 to 2018 was raised in the region, making equity funding inaccessible to many businesses. The fund only invests in low-income nations, concentrating on fast-growing businesses in Nigeria, Ghana, and Côte d'Ivoire that provide consumer and financial services. The fund will also make investments in companies in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Senegal, and will invest in at least 25% of businesses with female owners or executives. According to the National Pension Commission, PENCOM, PFAs earned a total of 125.39 billion naira during the fiscal year that concluded on December 31st, 2021, in comparison to the overall income of 109.68 billion naira earned in 2020. The PFA's total earnings show an increase of 14.33%. The Commission made this information public in its 2021 annual report. The Commission also reported that overall operational costs were 65.58 billion naira compared to 55.2 billion naira in 2020. However, operating profit margins increased from 54.78 billion naira in 2020 to 59.52 billion naira in 2021. That's all for business news. I am Chamun Dabeng.
On the international scene, 3 people, including a prominent local journalist, have been shot dead inside a bar in central Mexico, marking the 13th murder of a media worker this year as violence against Mexican journalists escalates. Guanajuato Governor Diego Rodriguez Vallejo condemned the Tuesday night killing of Ernesto Mendez, the director of the local outlet Tubal, or Your Voice, after a group of gunmen stormed the bar, which Mendez also owned in the town of San Luis de la Paz. Mendez has also worked at the news site Zona Franca several years ago, according to its director, Carmen Martinez. The journalist had previously received threats, according to human rights organization Article 19. The attack also left 1 person seriously wounded. The other victims were not named. China's largest ever military exercise encircling Taiwan kicked off Thursday in a show of force straddling vital international shipping lanes after a visit to the island by U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Pelosi left Taiwan Wednesday after a trip that defied a series of stark threats from Beijing, which views the self-ruled island as its territory. Pelosi was the highest-profile elected U.S. official to visit Taiwan in 25 years and said her trip made it unequivocally clear that the United States will not abandon a democratic ally. It sparked a furious reaction from Beijing, which vowed punishment and announced military drills in the seas around Taiwan. Peru's Prime Minister Aníbal Torres on Wednesday resigned, becoming the 4th to step down in a year under embattled President Pedro Castillo. In a letter signed to Castillo, who has survived 2 impeachment votes in 12 months and is the target of 5 criminal investigations, Torres said he was stepping down for personal reasons. Torres posted a copy of the letter in which he wished Castillo success on Twitter. His resign will trigger an automatic cabinet reshuffle. Torres, 79, first served as Castillo's justice minister and then took over the prime ministerial portfolio in February after 3 previous prime ministers had come and gone. And in sports, World Triathlon has approved a new policy that will allow transgender athletes to continue competing in female categories. However, they must demonstrate lower concentration of testosterone continuously for at least 2 years and cannot have competed as a male in any sporting competition in the past 4 years. The new regulations, which come into effect in September, do not mention transgender athletes in male events. World Triathlon President Marisol Casado said his organization's new policy, which affects elite and age group competitions, was prioritizing the fairness principle but showing inconclusiveness. World Triathlon said it consulted widely, including multiple experts in the field and the transgender community. Still in sports, 5 Nigerian athletes, Ife Chukwudi Ikpeoye, Faith Obazwaye, Nasaru Sule and Esau Ogunkunle have qualified for the semi-finals of the para table tennis events of the 2022 Commonwealth Games in Birmingham. While Ikpeoye, a debutante, first secured her place in the women's single classes 3-5 after finishing second in her group. Another Nigerian, Chinenye Obiora, was however unlucky as she failed to book her place in the last 4. Obazwaye, a silver medalist at the 2018 edition, has also secured her spot in the semi-final of the women's singles classes 8-10 after placing second in her group. In the men's single classes 3-5, Sule and Ogunkunle topped their groups to hit the semi-final round of the competition. Also, Tajuddin Ogunbiade in the men's single classes 8-10 secured his place in the semi-finals. And finally, in sports, Chelsea have completed the signing of Carney Chukwuemeka from Aston Villa, the club announced on Thursday. Tuchel continues to reinforce Chelsea with 4th signing of the summer. The London club had earlier announced that they had reached an agreement with Villa for the 18-year-old's permanent transfer to Stamford Bridge as Thomas Tuchel continues to reinforce his squad ahead of the 2022-2023 Premier League season. And now, Adeni Ajishafe has more in sports.
(2018) ITO Cup winners Rangers International FC of Enugu and Enyimba International have both been eliminated from the 2022 ITO FA Cup after losing their round of 32 matches. Rangers lost 7-8 on penalties to Heartland FC after taking the lead in the 29th minute. Heartland restored parity in the second half to force the game into penalty shootout after 1-1 full-time score. 2014 champions Enyimba International FC suffered similar fate after losing 5-6 against fellow Nigerian Professional Football League (NPFL) campaigners Niger Tornadoes. The regulation time ended goalless before the encounter proceeded into penalty shootout. The result ensured that both teams will miss out in the 2022 CAF Confederations Cup, as the winner of the Federations Cup will pick the second slot for the continent's second-tier league. Raymond Stars, who lost 3-0 against Aqua United, have picked the 4th slot by virtue of ending third on the 2022 NPFL log. In other results, Green Beret FC defeated defending champions Bayelsa United 5-4 on penalties in Enugu to progress to the round of 16. Bende Insurance had a narrow escape as they beat Otasolo FC 4-3 on penalties to progress, while Kano Pillars recorded the highest scoreline of the fixtures by walloping Zamfara United 5-0 in their encounter. Nasarawa United defeated Sokoto United 11-10 on penalties after a 1-1 draw. Action continues in the round of 16 on 6th of August 2022. Team Nigeria's hope of winning a medal at the finals of women's 100 meters went up in flames as the duo of Rosemary Chukwuma and Grace Nwokocha finished 4th and 5th in the finals. Rosemary Chukwuma ran a time of 11.17 seconds to finish 4th ahead of Grace Nwokocha, who ran a time of 11.18 seconds to finish 5th. Elaine Thompson-Hera of Jamaica came fourth with a time of 10.95 seconds. Julian Alfred of St. Lucia came second with a time of 11.01 seconds, while Dari Nater of England finished third in a time of 11.07 seconds. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
With this, we've come to the end of Trust News Hour. I beg your pardon. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Thanks for watching.